with challenges that our democratic experience is going through. We are a cross-section of leaders and political stakeholders from across the country. We have come together to address the dangerous and unconstitutional actions taken by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on March 18, 2025, to meet the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State and the illegal suspension of the democratically elected governor, deputy governor in the State House of Assembly. This action is not only unlawful, but also a clear subversion of democracy and imposition of democratic federal control over a duly elected state government. We strongly condemn this development and call on all Nigerians of good conscience to resist this brazen assault on the constitution of our country and the institutions of our democracy. The President's illegal and unconstitutional proclamation was presumably driven by the protracted, insidious political crisis in Rivers State, which culminated in the recent ruling of the Supreme Court. Naturally, we expected all parties to the dispute to follow laid down procedures and in good faith to comply or to promptly implement the judgment of the highest court of the land. We know that despite active statements and the belligerent attitude of these opponents, Governor Fubara has demonstrated goodwill and appeared disposed to the implementation of the ruling of the Supreme Court. However, rather than rise above the fray, the President yielded to petty favoritism and betrayed the oath that he solemnly swore to before God and man, which was to do, and I quote, do right to all manner of people according to law, without fear or favor, affection, or ill will, as I quote. If President Tinubu had conveniently disguised his true intention in the past, his broadcast to the nation on 18 March 2025 betrayed his bias and fell far below the standard of comportment expected from his exalted office. Now, let's go to the various constitutional violations. Number one, illegal removal of a governor and state assembly. Without any doubt, the Nigerian Constitution does not empower the President to remove an elected governor, deputy governor, or state assembly under any circumstances. The procedure for removing a governor is clearly outlined in Section 188 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended through an impeachment process initiated by the State House of Assembly, not by presidential proclamation or arbitrary pronouncement. Number two, misuse of Section 305 of the State of Emergency. Section 305 of the Constitution allows the President to declare a state of emergency only in the extreme cases where public safety, national security, or Nigeria's sovereignty is at serious risk. However, it does not grant him the power to suspend elected officials or to demolish democratic structures as he has presently done in Rivers State. Furthermore, Section 305(1) states that any proclamation of emergency is subject to the provisions of the Constitution, meaning it cannot override the tenure and removal procedures of a governor. Number three, failure to meet constitutional requirements for emergency rule. The conditions under Section 305(3) for declaring a state of emergency include the following. 1. War or external aggression. Breakdown of public order and safety. Natural disasters or any other grave emergency threatening Nigeria's corporate existence. None of these conditions exist in current circumstances in River State. There is no war, no widespread violence, and no breakdown of law and order warranting emergency declaration. Failure to follow due process. Even if an emergency declaration were valid, which it is not, it would still require a 2/3 majority approval of all members of the National Assembly. That is at least 72 senators and 240 members of the House of Representatives. If this approval is not secured, the proclamation must automatically cease to have effect. Number 5, alternative legal avenues were ignored. If the issue was the diversion of the River State House of Assembly, the President could have encouraged the National Assembly to intervene under Section 11 of the Constitution. However, even under such an intervention, the Governor and Deputy Governor cannot be removed by any arm of government except through constitutional means. The proviso of Section 11(4) clearly provides a manufactured crisis for political control. This state of emergency declaration is not about security. It is about power grabbing and control in River State. The disagreements within River State stem from the defection of 27 assembly members from the PDP to the APC, their loss of seats under constitutional provisions, and the subsequent political maneuver to undermine the governor's mandate. Rather than allowing the law to take its course, the federal government has engineered a crisis to justify this obviously premeditated and brazenly cynical and unconstitutional action. We find the federal government excuse of pipeline vandalism quite untenable and even laughable. The security of national infrastructure falls squarely under the responsibilities of federal security agencies and privately contracted security firms. If this issue had to do with breach of security in whatever form, the question that should naturally be asked: who controls the police, the military, and the TSS, the governor or the president? Now, ladies and gentlemen, our demand and call to action. Number 1, immediate reversal. We call on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to immediately revoke this unconstitutional proclamation and reinstate the elected governor, deputy governor, and state assembly of River State. 2, National Assembly rejection. We call on patriotic senators and representatives to vote against this illegal action when it comes before them for approval. The National Assembly must stand on the right side of history and not allow itself to be used to legitimize an unconstitutional power grab. 3, judicial intervention. We urge the judiciary to act swiftly in striking down this proclamation, as it sets a dangerous precedent that could be used to arbitrarily remove any governor in the future. I am very happy to read the ruling of a judge in River State which directed the status quo. Number 4, Nigerians must defend democracy. It's not only the responsibility of the opposition to defend democracy. It's the responsibility of all Nigerians, of all of you, to defend democracy. Otherwise, there won't be an attack. We call on all civil society organizations, political groups, and Nigerians of good conscience to stand firm in the defense of this democracy that we all have toiled to build. Rivers State is not a conquered territory, and Nigeria is not a dictatorship requiring the replacement of an elected governor with a military administration. We recall that even when a previous administration had declared a state of administration in parts of the country bedeviled by insurgency and acts of terrorism, the governors of the concerned states were not removed from office, as this administration has done. This action by Atiku therefore represents a new law for our country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the historical unrest in the Niger Delta should not be forgotten so soon. Past administration had made great efforts and sacrifices to restore peace and stability to the Niger Delta, which is critical to the economic health and stability of Nigeria itself. This federal government should not manufacture political crisis that could disrupt the fragile stability and return the country to the path that we have all prayed to leave behind for good. We must never allow personal political interest and the desire to hold on to power at all costs to throw the country into unavoidable chaos through brazen subversion of the principles of federalism, democracy, and constitutional governance. This is not just about Rivers State. It is about the future of Nigeria's democracy. Thank you. We have a panel of representatives, and we welcome any question. Thank you very much.
If you have a question, just signify, identify yourself, the media you represent, why Madam Luma will recognize you. Okay, Channel is here. Okay, Channel.
Your Excellency, my name is Friday. I work for Channel TV. I would like to ask, sir, some will have the view. I think I'm audible enough. Yes. Okay. All right.
As I said earlier, my name is Friday, and I report for Channel TV. I would like to ask, sir, some will have the view that the push by this coalition is coming a bit late, like medicine after death. We saw the whole political drama that was happening in Rivers State before it went masked. That's 2 days ago, right? Yes, with the declaration of the state of emergency. Why have the opposition parties been so quiet until the president took that decision that now they will fit to come? Is it not too late for this reversal to happen?
Okay, Dear Central.
I personally don't think it is too late, because it was all the time assumed that it was, first of all, an internal affairs of the Rivers State, political structure. Secondly, it was an intra-party issue. If you ask me whether the PDP, which is supposed to be in charge in Rivers State, whether the PDP acted in good time to try to forestall this state of emergency, that would be a different thing altogether. But I am not here representing the PDP as a party.
Your Excellency, sir, my name is Amadin Ui. I'm with New Central Television. Sir, this coalition speaking against the events in Rivers State. The last time we have seen representatives from the major opposition parties, the PDP, the SDP, and the Labour Party. We know that in politics, sometimes it takes one event for politicians to rise up in unison to say enough is enough. And the last time we saw this kind of coalition was prior to the 2015 general elections. Sir, are we seeing this united front go ahead into the 2027 general election, thus assuming is the bet of a major opposition against the APC? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Your Excellency, the federal government made the argument that Obasanjo also declared a state of emergency in Plateau State and in Ekiti. And in those two instances, the governors were removed. So they said that, look, there's a precedent for it, and that gave them impetus to remove or to suspend Governor Fubara. I want to know what you think about that argument. That is number one. Secondly, have you reached out personally to any of the lawmakers, either in the House of Reps or in the Senate? Because it's 2/3 majority that is needed, and the ruling party doesn't have that. Have you been meeting with them behind the scenes? Thank you.
Let me start with the last one. It's a coalition of opposition political parties. We have reached out to our members in the National Assembly. On the issue of previous, state of emergencies, that occurred during, our administration, I will invite Madam Nasir El-Rufai, to also interject. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can just take the seat.
Let's leave it. You will get me. You will hear me.
Looks like this is not digital.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the two cases referred to occurred in the period of Obasanjo administration, in which both His Excellency, the former Vice President, and my humble self were part of. And it is true that in those cases the governors were suspended. These suspensions were challenged in the courts, and in 2006, the Supreme Court of Nigeria gave a judgment clearly stating that, even though by then Nigeria had been restored to office, but it lashed the Obasanjo administration and said that under no circumstances would the emergency provisions in Section 305 be used to remove any elected official. That is the law. The Supreme Court has spoken. No legislation or constitutional amendment has changed that. So that is the law. No one, no person or authority can remove an elected official, whether governor, deputy governor, or member of the legislature, without going through the due process of law. In the case of governor, by impeachment. In the case of legislators, through recall. Those are the only ways you can remove an elected person. You cannot tamper with the mandate of the people. under Section 205 of the Constitution. The Supreme Court has spoken and is very, very clear. What President Tinubu has done is violently unconstitutional and unlawful. Our hope is that the National Assembly will for once begin, this National Assembly, that everyone accuses of being overstaffed, will at least for once stand with the people of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end of